I'm Brendan Moran.
And I'm Ruby Lopez. Welcome to Creek Currents.
Today we've got the inspiring story of how the community came together to help a local preschool teacher. Plus, I sit down with Mayor Cindy Silva to discuss the state of the city.
And ever wonder what it takes to put on some of the best live shows in the Bay Area? Well, I've got the backstage pass to find out. Today we are getting a behind-the-scenes tour of one of the Bay Area's theater institutions, the Lesher Center. And since the show must go on, let's head on backstage to see how it all happens. Hey Scott, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing, Ruby?
Thank you for the tour. Now everybody, this is Scott Dennison. He is the general manager for the Lesher Center for the Arts. Going to take us on a fun adventure today.
Yeah, normally we go in the lobby and in the seating areas, but you and I are going to go backstage and see the magic that takes place back here.
All right, should we get started?
Let's go.
Okay. So where are we now?
Well, now we're in the green room, the performer assembly room, and this is where all the cast for all three theaters come. And they can relax and they can learn lines and they can sort of break down the shell of their character that they do up on stage so they can be normal people.
It's really spacious in here too.
It's really a nice space, very comfortable, because there's sometimes actors might be here 10 hours because of rehearsals and performances and things like that. And on a double day when they're doing a matinee and an evening, they're here a long time.
I see a lot of fun pictures, but this photo behind us has a pretty interesting history.
This is a great photograph. As you know, this was an old walnut warehouse that the city sort of changed from a walnut warehouse into a theater for 9 months out of the year and then converted back. And then in 1965, it was converted because the Walnut Growers Association moves to Fresno, and to 1988, it operated as a 449-seat theater. On the last day, we produced a show called Thanks for the Memory and had the audience come up on stage, and they had a lot of memories about this building that was here before. And so I invited them to paint their name on the back wall and promised we'd take a photograph of it before the ball hit the building the next day, and we'd hang it somewhere of honor, and so the green room is where it hangs.
Now you mentioned taking a picture of this before the wrecking ball came in, but you were here for that. Talk to us about that transition and building the new building that we're in now.
Well, it's really amazing because we went from a 449-seater theater to an 800-seat theater, a 300-seat theater, and a 133-seat theater. So 72,000 square foot building was erected on this site. Now, in 1988, when that ball hit the building and tore down the old walnut warehouse, we started construction and we opened on October 4th, 1990. And we had, performing on stage, Bob Hope, Vic Damone, Diane Carroll, and Joel Grey, all one night. That first audience, they all paid $1,000 apiece to attend that opening performance. It was an event in Walnut Creek, for sure.
Well, Scott, that sounds amazing. What a perfect opening. It
was great, and we've had a lot of great performances since then over the last 30 years. Hey, why don't we check out one of the dressing rooms?
I would love that.
All right. So we're fortunate to have Lisa and Rachel here, and they're putting on makeup for a show, and we're really excited about that. And one of the interesting things about what they're doing is as they look at themselves in the mirror, the color temperature of the lights around them, they're all LEDs. Only 5 years ago did the technology happen, that the color temperature here will match the color temperature they'll experience on stage. And if that wasn't true, they'd look great down here like they do now, and they'd go up on stage and look green to the audience.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. So how early before a show do you tend to show up?
Well, our call is 30 minutes before, but depending on the character, if we have a lot of makeup or a difficult costume to get into, we might show up a little bit early.
Like maybe you have a wig or something.
Yeah, or if I haven't like pinned my hair up yet, I might come a little early and just do it here if I didn't want to come with pin curls.
Now I have to ask, because as someone in the audience, we're always so excited before a show. What is the energy like back here as you're getting ready?
I think people are pretty excited and looking forward to our show. Someone might put music on, something upbeat that keeps us energized.
Well, great. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Ruby, now we are in the trap room of the Lesher Theater.
Very cool. I mean, I've never heard of a trap room. It sounds exciting, though.
It's very exciting because we can actually remove 4x4 squares out of the stage floor to have a big hole. And then if there's a scene where we want somebody to pop out or pop down on a staircase like they're going to a basement scene or something, it's already ready made, so actors don't have to kind of duck behind a flat to look like that. As an example, we use trap rooms not only for storage, but we also use it for A Christmas Carol, where Marley pops out of the floor, so it's pretty exciting to have a trap room and the availability to use that.
Absolutely. It sounds really cool.
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Good.
We're at the rail right now, which is in the Hoffman Theater. You know, the large part of the building you see as you approach the Lesher Center is directly above a 65-foot fly tower, and we can put 2 or 3 shows in the air at the same time. And Steve Pino's our lead technician, and what happens is Steve brings down a batten, a pipe, we tie a heavy piece of scenery on it or a curtain, and he figures out how much weight he needs to add to the pin rail, and then he flies the arbor and flies it out, and he does this every single day.
Wow, and there is a lot here behind us. So how many, what is it, lines, rails?
Line sets.
Lines,
There's
yeah.
41 line sets. Each one has a capacity of 1,500 pounds.
Wow. And a fun fact I heard earlier, the front curtain, is it the main curtain?
The main curtain weighs 940 pounds.
Wow, impressive. And you're doing that by yourself?
One guy can do it all
Okay.
day.
Now during the show, the actors cannot cross this yellow line. Steve's the only one who can cross it because he may be bringing something in like the Grand Drape and then have to run down to upstage to bring in some other drop.
Wow, very busy back here. You're running, it's pitch black and you're going back and forth and pulling and lowering, and
It's pretty exciting back
very exciting.
there. Yeah. So let's set off to the light booth and sound booth and check that out.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the control booth because all our theaters have computerized lighting and computerized sound, so this happens to be the control booth for the Hoffman Theater. Now, one of the nice things about that is we can have 2, 4, 5, 10, 20 different shows loaded into this light board computer at the same time, so we can switch over from a symphony to a ballet to a play to Christmas Carol to do whatever we want to do. And we actually have some cues built in here.
Okay.
So instead of moving all of the channels, which are like dimmers, like 200 of them, you can just push that button right there and change the lights.
I can do that now?
Let's try it.
Okay.
Wow, look what you did.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Okay, push it again.
Okay.
And now you're changing it again and push it one more time. All right, you see how you can change the light just with one touch, and you've changed 200 lighting instruments.
So they're
to change.
programmed already in a certain sequence?
Right, so
Okay.
we have designers that come across the country that design the lights that we program into the board, and then they go off to another show, and we just run the buttons by pushing this and run the show, and it's all magic.
Very, very interesting.
Same thing happens with sound, so we can preset all of our wireless devices and microphones and everything, and then the sound operator pushes a button and it changes all the levels on the board. And the only thing we have to worry about is if some actor is sick, we have to then adjust that manually. But it all works, and it's the way we can do the 850 performances we do here at the Lesher Center.
Wow, that is very impressive. Now you also have spotlights, and that's upstairs?
2 levels up, we
Okay.
have follow spots, and so there's an operators that are up there, and they have to move and follow. And the hardest part about that is you have to keep your eye on your subject. You can't start watching the show. You have to stay with whoever you're spotlighting. So it's a fun time to work in theater. It's a great little sandbox to play in every day.
Okay, I'd like to end on another one if I may.
Okay, go for it. Okay, look at that magic.
Skills. Scott, thank you so much for this behind the scenes tour.
Thanks, Ruby. Come by anytime. Now listen, now you know all about putting makeup on actors, running lights, and running the rail, and then you can know what a trap room is.
I love it, yes. And now all of you at home do as well. Now, what if they would like to experience a show for themselves?
Very easy. Call 925-943-SHOW, S-H-O-W, or go to our website, lesherartscenter.org.
Okay, lots of great shows coming up for all of you, so make sure you visit the website, and we'll see you at the Lesher. Now, if you'd like to see what's currently playing at the Lesher Center, don't miss Center Rep's performance of The Diary of Anne Frank. Center Repertory is the city's award-winning local theater company, so make sure to check them out.
And speaking of keeping things local, we've got a story of how a creative solution is helping longtime residents.
I have lived in Walnut Creek since 1976. I work for the White Pony Mayor School. I've worked there almost as long as I've been here. I've been there. I taught there for a very long time, and now I have been being the secretary for the preschool director, and also having the great pleasure of doing circles for the preschool children. We have fun together. Their excitement is captivating and a wonderful experience. I lived for 15 years in a very, very nice apartment building in Saranac. And then they started evicting people, and so all the apartments seemed to want to upgrade the individual apartments. And one way is to evict the people who are not paying as much as they want to have for a fee, a monthly fee.
I'm the housing program manager, and my role is to work with programs and policies that either create affordable housing or create opportunities for low and moderate income residents and households to be able to find affordable housing. Well, I think in Walnut Creek, in many ways, it's very similar to the broader region, so the Bay Area, where we've just had a huge economic recovery since the recession and a lot of new jobs and increase in population as a result without the housing development to support that. And so we have a real supply and demand issue, which has driven prices up, both rental and for sale housing up kind of concurrently. You know, so I think throughout the Bay Area, people are experiencing housing instability. They're experiencing high cost burden in housing, and many Bay Area residents are experiencing displacement.
But it did get me going, and knowing that there was no security there. And my heart went out. A very good friend got evicted. And then, it was about 6 months ago, the listing for this came up.
Sandra Starr applied to purchase a below market rate unit through our below market rate home ownership program. And so this was actually a resale. It was a below market rate unit that was developed by a developer who was creating a market rate project. They had provided 7% of their units as affordable to low income. And Sandra applied for that. And she was such an ideal candidate. I mean, it was so perfect because she was somebody who was already a part of the community. She was facing a possible displacement, and she was really needing stable, affordable housing. And through this program, she was able to obtain that. So it was a real success story.
There were approximately 75 applicants for this apartment because people need housing. There's going to have to be some very creative thinking to address this need.
The cumulative effect is that we really kind of hit a crisis, and the state and a lot of jurisdictions are doing a lot to try to incentivize affordable housing development, to try to streamline housing development in general to be able to get more units on the market, but it's going to take time. And so Walnut Creek is doing a lot right now to get housing produced and to get specifically affordable housing produced.
I cannot be too grateful for the opportunity that I have been given of being able to purchase this low-income condominium in a high-income building, lo and behold, with the help of a variety of very, very lovely people, including the woman from the city, Margot. That's why I want to share, is because I want to urge everybody to think of how we can better our situation, how we can open our arms to more.
Now, if you'd like to get more information on upcoming affordable housing opportunities, head on over to their site and sign up for the housing newsletter.
Affordable housing was just one of the hot topics I discussed with our new mayor. See what else she had to say. Cindy, welcome.
Thank you, Brendan.
So the first question is, of course, how is the state of the city?
I think we have a lot to celebrate. Let's just take last year on our roads. We invested new state transportation funds in long overdue rehabilitation work on Oak Grove Road. It's a fabulous project. We were able to do a lot, and we'll be able to take these new transportation dollars in the future and work on Ignacio Valley Road, North Main Street, North Broadway, so really get some things done related to road conditions and traffic. You're on the Park and Recreation Commission for us, and as you know, we rehabilitated Larkey Pool and put in a new splash pad about 18 months ago, and we had another banner summer of lots of kids and families out there, which is really great. And the Heather Farm Park All Abilities Playground continues to be probably the most popular outdoor venue in town. You cannot find a parking place or a space on the playground on some days and evenings. In terms of the local economy, we've had a lot of reinvestment in the economy in the last 5 years since the end of the recession. Most people know Broadway Plaza invested about $250 million in its project. It's coming to a close, and that project included about 2,300 more parking spaces and a much better parking experience. We've had remodels and refreshes at 2 of our neighborhood shopping centers, Rossmore Shopping Center and Encina Grande, and the new Orchards Shopping Center. So there's a lot going on in the local economy. We have a lot of sustainability goals. So what have we done? We joined Moran Clean Energy, and this last year we chose to opt up to 100% electric renewable energy for all of our community facilities. We're installing more EV charging stations in our parking lots and parking garages. We've put in solar panels at Boundary Oak and Heather Farm Park, and we even have solar-powered trash and recycling compactors on our downtown streets. And near and dear to my heart, we had a great Community Service Day in October this past year, where more than 1,400 volunteers came out to work on projects, and we will do it again this year in our 9th year.
Cindy, the City Council has been focused on 4 strategic priorities in the past couple of years. And of course, one of them is housing. And I know you know this, but a lot of people, when they drive around downtown Walnut Creek, they might say, why are there so many apartments being built, right?
Okay.
Can you talk to me about that?
I can, and it's a very fair question, but if you don't mind, I think I'm going to roll back and do a little bit of a framework perspective. First of all, housing is fundamental. People need places to live. It's fundamental to quality of life, And it's fundamental to a strong local economy as well as a statewide economy. And in California, I would say over the last decade, we have not been producing enough housing across the state to fill the needs of the people that we have here and who are working here. And it's become exacerbated since the end of the recession. In fact, there's a statistic that says that we've added 500,000 jobs in the Bay Area, mostly in the high-tech sector, and only 100,000 housing units. So there are not enough places for people to live. We even have young people in their 20s and early 30s. They work in the tech sector, they work in Silicon Valley, and they're paying $2,000 a month to live in a dining room in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So if you don't have enough housing units, you end up with high costs, you end up with more homelessness, you end up with more traffic because people have to live further away from where they work, so you have long commute times. And in general, it just degrades the quality of life. And ultimately, if you don't have enough housing, big business will start moving those jobs into other states where housing is of a lower cost and their employees won't have to drive as far.
Right.
And that creates more unemployment. So it is a fundamental issue. And this is a crisis level in this state such that the state legislature and our newly installed Governor Newsom are making it a top priority of how do we build more housing. But that doesn't actually answer the question of, well, why have we had so many apartments and so much going on downtown? So I need to roll back to the early 2000s, if you don't mind.
No.
That's when the community was working on our general plan. It's a 20-year plan. And one of the basic questions was, how much will Walnut Creek grow? And the answer was about 0.5% per year, which translates to about 325 to 350 new people per year. It's about about the size of a senior class at either Los Lomas or Northgate High School. But then the next question is, well, how many housing units does that translate to? And it's about 150 to 200 new units each year. So then the fundamental question for the community was, where do we put them? And we start with the basic question of, should we sell the open space and allow it to take on the hills? And there was probably an emphatic no, maybe with a few expletives in front of it, because we want to protect that unique thing that Walnut Creek has, which is our open space. And then the question was, well, do we put townhomes into the single-family neighborhoods and apartments in the single-family neighborhoods? And the answer was, well, no, we want to preserve the character of our single-family neighborhoods, and therefore the answer was the additional housing that we need would go downtown, and it would be more multi-story, multi-family. So that's how we got here. Why it seems like a lot now is because from 2009 to 2013, nothing got built because of the recession. So you had projects that had been approved in 2007 and 2008 that sat waiting to come out of the ground. And then once money was available, when the economy was starting to recover, then building started, and it all started in a very compact space because it's downtown. But it's really a better place for our housing because it preserves the open space, preserves our single-family neighborhoods, and it translates to fewer car trips because people come home, they park their car in their building, and they walk to dinner, they walk to the movies. They're not competing with you and me for those precious parking spaces that we want for downtown. And it will probably slow a bit because the pent-up demand is done, but, and here's the challenge, Sacramento is convinced that we're in the way of housing and allowing it to happen. And so there's going to be a continuing pressure for us to basically take away our local control over the housing production and to put all of the rules in the hands of the state and actually the development community. We're lobbying against that, and we will continue to do so, but we may not be as successful as we'd like.
Cindy, tough question for you.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night?
Related
about
to the city.
Yes, about the city.
That is a really fair question. And having been on the council 12 years, this answer is probably been for the last 10, to do everything we've talked about. Maintain low crime rates, ensure a safe community, maintain our roads and our infrastructure, and deliver the quality of life services that the community, that's important to the community and important to the business community, libraries, parks. It requires a fiscally sustainable environment. Our budget is balanced and we have strong, healthy reserves. But like all 90% of the cities in the state of California that participate in the California Public Employee Pension System, those pension funding issues are beginning to serve a huge economic drag on our budget, and it is getting worse year over year. They're unfunded liabilities, monies that we are legally obligated to pay. This past year, we owed $6.5 million in the unfunded costs. That's the back funding needed for us to fill because the CalPERS system didn't achieve its investment objectives. And by 2024, that number will have jumped to $12.8 million. Wow. And it will continue to rise until about 2034. And so we have to figure out how to pay those bills while continuing to do everything we've talked about. We've made good progress. All of our employees during the recessionary time agreed to pay their full share of their pension costs, and we really do appreciate that. In addition, the police officers have recently agreed to pay more than their legal share, which is a first step toward a new approach as well. Our employees pay a significant percentage toward their health care costs. Our staffing levels today still haven't reached where they were in 2008, so we are doing more with less, and we contract for services where it's appropriate. And we have also, in the last year, set aside $14 million as a down payment toward those future pension costs. But it's still not enough, and we will still need to be doing more. So that's what keeps me awake at night, besides thinking about my granddaughter and fun things that she likes to do.
Now, if you'd like to see the full sit-down interview with Mayor Silva, check out the State of the City special, now airing on Walnut Creek TV.
Now, as part of her year as mayor, Cindy Silva is hosting Second Saturday Spotlight. It's an opportunity to go behind the scenes of our local nonprofits every second Saturday morning.
The events are free, so head on over to the site to learn more. And we'll see you next time on Creek Currents.